Good. Okay, we're good to go. All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Sheena Aline, your Caribbean College Planner and Student Advisor at the Student Center. And we're back again for another webinar on Wednesday. And we're still in Canada this week. And right now, instead of Ontario, we're heading a little bit more to the east and we're hopping over one province over to the lovely province of Quebec and narrowing down on Sherbrooke, which is outside of Montreal. So you can use Montreal as your reference point. And Sherbrooke is about an hour to 2 hours away
Yep.
from Montreal. So you're not too far in Canadian travel time. That might seem like eternity for a Caribbean person, especially when you come from Barbados and it's only 166 square miles, or from Aruba, where Wilton, who's representing Bishops, is originally from. And so we're going to be talking about studying in Canada as a Caribbean student. And why Quebec would be a really good option for students from the region, and why Bishops would be a perfect fit for a student coming from the region. So Wilton is the expert on that this evening, and he is going to talk us through that process and all the benefits you have to offer. Remember, Bishops is actually going to be in the region with Cup Fest. You can see them in Barbados, but their profile is available all throughout the year right now, and you can see their dedicated page. You can now also access Wilton through that page. So even if Cup Fest is not coming to your country, Cup Fest is still reachable. So remember, Cutfest is coming up next month, making stops in Barbados and Jamaica, and Bishops is one of our feature schools on that tour. So without further ado, if you're joining us on Zoom, you're going to remain muted for this. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. And if you're peeping in on Facebook, good evening to you as well. You can send us your comments or queries in if you're in the Zoom room via the chat or Q&A option. If you are on Facebook, you can send it in the comment section. Wilton, take us away and talk to us about coming to Canada as a Caribbean student.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Sheena. Hi, everyone. My name is Wilton Burgos, and as Sheena mentioned, I'm originally from Aruba, so a former international student myself who moved to Canada. I studied at Bishops as well, so I can definitely share my personal experience as a student as well. I studied psychology, so if any of you guys are interested in any of our programs, specifically psychology, feel free to drop your comments down below, or feel free to reach out to me at the end as well. I will leave my email at the end as well. So very quickly, a very short overview on our institution, but we're a very small university. And as Sheena mentioned as well, we're about an hour and a half away from Montreal. We offer over 100 programs, everything ranging from business, sciences, education to social sciences. And we also follow the liberal education model, which means that most of our students get to mix and match between our programs. I, for example, did a little bit of math, did a little bit of French. So you can very easily combine with any of our programs as well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So welcome Caribbean students. Today's presentation about Canada and why Canada is a good study destination for you guys, especially coming out of the Caribbean. This is a beautiful map of Canada. For those who don't already know, we're the second largest country in the world, but only about 41 million people live in Canada. And to put this into perspective for you, Tokyo alone has around 38 million people. So to kind of give you a bit in terms of perspective, Canada's population versus the populations of other cities around the world. Canada also holds diverse landscapes and access to many beautiful natural environments. So if you are an outdoorsy person, you like to be out in nature, Canada is definitely a good destination for that. We're well known for things, obviously, like maple syrup and ice hockey, but also for being a very peaceful and safe country with a strong economy as well and a stable political system. Canada also appreciates people from all over the world and different backgrounds as well. Something I always admire about Canada, especially when I'm traveling around, is just getting to see the different types of people that live in Canada, coming from various different backgrounds, speaking many different languages as well. And of course, Canada does have a very, very strong educational system as well, especially at the university level, making most students that graduate from Canadian institutions competitive to go globally worldwide. So I also wanted to highlight very quickly Quebec, as we mentioned, we are located in the French-speaking province of Canada. No, I know there's been a lot in the media recently about Canada placing caps on international students, and that is true for many provinces. But Quebec is a bit different in the sense that uh, it doesn't apply to us in the same way because Quebec already has its own system in place, the CEQ or Certificat d'Acceptation du Québec. Um, has always been something that has been in place for students that are coming to Canada, specifically to Quebec. So it's kind of leveling the playing field as well. So while other provinces are dealing kind of with new restriction, Quebec kind of remains open and welcoming to international students. I know oftentimes when international students are looking at Canada, they tend to focus their search very much on Toronto or Vancouver or the major cities, but there are other places as well in Canada that are affordable and offer the same quality of education as other larger institutions. On top of that, Quebec offers various advantages for students, like I mentioned, being a bit more affordable compared to many other provinces. Has a very vibrant and diverse student life as well, and has, or I guess, offers students a unique opportunity to improve or learn French as well. I remember when I moved to Quebec, I didn't speak a word of French, and right now I'm pretty fluent. So that's something that you can definitely pick up during your time here at Bishops and specifically in Quebec. So, why choose Canada? Well, as a former international student myself, something that kept bringing me back to Canada was the quality of education and the quality of life that you receive here in Canada. Canada is consistently ranked amongst the top 5 countries in the world for the quality of its education. And in 2024, it ranked number 4 for the best quality of life. Canada also invests quite a bit from its GDP into post-secondary education. And around 57% of Canadian adults have a tertiary degree, showing the high value placed on education here in Canada. Another reason why you might choose Canada is because of its cultural familiarity. Canada is home to a significant Caribbean population, particularly in cities like Toronto or Montreal. This, I guess, makes it a lot easier to find familiar foods, cultural events, and I guess that community support as well. That's going to help you feel a bit more at home during your studies here in Canada. And there's also that support for Caribbean students. Many Canadian institutions, because of those large Caribbean student populations, tend to have Caribbean student associations and other cultural clubs that kind of provide that support, networking, and social opportunities as well for you as a student in Canada. So a little bit more on, I guess, the university system here in Canada. Most of Canada's universities are public institutions that consistently rank in world rankings. They have a very strong link and partnerships with top institutions around the world. Whether you want to stay in Canada or leave, you have that background already. And over 1/3 of Canada's research is actually conducted at Canadian institutions, so making Canada very much a leader when it comes to research amongst those GA countries. Canada also attracts international students from all over the world and professors as well from all over the world. So kind of making Canada competitive in that type of atmosphere as well. There are also specific programs for Caribbean students. I know some institutions offer programs that are very much tailored to the needs and interests of Caribbean students, such as Caribbean studies or international development programs with a focus on the Caribbean region or international politics that might focus as well on the Caribbean. So for those students who might be interested in maybe going into that route. So the college and university system here in Canada, I kind of always like to clarify this because I know oftentimes college and university are terms that are interchangeable in the US. In Canada, colleges and university tend to serve, I guess, different purposes. Colleges tend to offer a variety of credentials, including certificates, diplomas, university transfer programs, whereas universities in general offer a 4-year bachelor's degree or postgraduate studies for those students who are interested in doing graduate studies. Many students oftentimes will start at the college level and then transfer over to university, making it easy to tailor their education to their own needs. And like I mentioned before, I know our neighboring country uses these terms interchangeably, so I wanted to highlight the difference, especially here in Canada. We also have many pathway programs in Canada. For Caribbean students, these pathway programs, I guess, allow you to start your studies at a college and then maybe transition over to a university if that's something that you might be interested in doing, which can be also more cost effective and I guess provide a smoother transition from going from obviously your home country into college and then into university as well. However, I must admit that I think that a lot of students, at least the ones that I meet that complete CSEC and CAPE, tend to be more than well prepared for university level studies. So a little on the global culture here in Canada. As I mentioned, Canada is known for its multiculturalism, with over 200 languages spoken and communities representing virtually every culture around the world. As an international student from the Caribbean, I hope that if you do end up picking Canada, that you'll feel welcomed and you'll be in an environment that kind of values your diversity as well. Um, and whether you're passionate about art, music, food, these are types of things that you can definitely find during your time here. Doing your undergraduate or graduate studies. Cities like Toronto and Montreal also have very, very strong Caribbean community. Like I mentioned, we're about an hour and a half from Montreal. So whenever I'm craving something from the Caribbean or I want to have some good food, not that there is in Sherbrooke, but Montreal tends to have that bigger community as well. So if I want that sense of belonging, sense of home, I tend to go over to the city to kind of get that. So kind of wanting to highlight that as well. And then I know there's also big festivals that take place, like for example, Caravana in Toronto, and then there's Cari Fiesta in Montreal as well. So to kind of highlight some of those events that you can partake in during your time here um, as a student. So some of those career opportunities. Most universities offer, I guess, work placements or those co-op programs that provide real world, paid world experience. So whatever you're learning in the classroom, that you're also going to get to apply that into the real world. I guess this helps students very much integrate what they're learning, but then also open up opportunities for after they graduate. In Canada, you can work usually up to 3 years after you've graduated from a bachelor's program. And while you're studying as a student, you can work up to 24 hours per week during the semester, and then full time during break. So most oftentimes, students tend to go full time during the summer breaks. Many Caribbean students have successfully transitioned from their studies into thriving careers here in Canada. I have many of my friends from the Caribbean who are now working in hospitals. They are teaching. They're out and about doing their thing. Um, I cannot emphasize this enough, but I do think many students tend to focus very heavily, I guess, on the academics when you are at the university level. But it is also good to very much get involved in your community. These things also end up opening doors for you, whether you might see that now or even later. So a little on the application process for most institutions here in Canada. So there are three things, I guess, for you to kind of keep in mind. The first one is obviously the application deadlines. Deadlines definitely vary depending on the college or university that you might be applying to. Some schools have early deadlines, especially for competitive programs. So it's very important for you to check the official website for each institution to get those accurate dates and requirements as well. Number two is those admissions requirements. So this can obviously differ widely based on the university and even the specific program you're applying to as well. Some programs may require certain prerequisite courses or for you to have higher grades. So I always suggest students to always review the admissions criteria carefully before you apply. Number three would be offers are usually made, I guess, on an interim or predicted grades basis. I know oftentimes in the US, you tend to send all your transcripts, and then when you have your final transcripts, you send that in as well, and then you receive an answer on your application. But in Canada, most institutions tend to make decisions on the grades that you currently have. So that last year or your second to last year, definitely give it your all. So this means that you can definitely receive a conditional offer before your final grades are even out or before you've even completed all your final examinations. So remember to start early, do your research very well, and try to stay organized throughout the process, especially if you are trying to apply directly into university as opposed to going directly into a college. So a little bit more on the admission requirements. Again, a few different things to keep in mind. The first one is academic performance. This, I guess, is usually the most important factor for Canadian universities, or what Canadian universities tend to look at very closely. They tend to look at your academic record, especially your most recent results, specifically for students coming out of the Caribbean. Here at Bishops, just to kind of give you guys an idea in terms of what we look for you guys coming out of the Caribbean, we look for typically CSEC grades of 3 or higher, and at least 3 CAPE Unit 2 level subjects, also with grades of 3 or higher, to kind of give you guys an idea there. So make sure your academic performance stays strong, especially in your final year. And most I'll get into this in the next slide, but most institutions in Canada do offer merit-based scholarships. So for those who are interested in applying for any scholarships, if you are an academically strong student, I highly, highly recommend you to do so. Number two would be the supplementary information. Some programs may also require additional documents like a personal profile, a video, or a portfolio, depending on the program that you might be going into, especially for competitive programs. But not all programs require this. So it's something to check as well with the program and the institution that you're applying to. Number three would be the recommendations letter. So good news, recommendation letters aren't something that is typically required for most undergraduate programs in Canada. I know that this is very common in the US, but in Canada, this is not something that's very common in the admissions process. There are a few exceptions, but in general, the focus is on your grades and on your academic profile as a student as well. So overall, try to keep your grades strong, as I mentioned before. Be aware of any program-specific requirements, again, depending on the program that you're going into. And I guess don't worry too much about those letters unless your program specifically asks for it, because oftentimes I meet students that before they even start the process, they're already kind of stressed out about the letter or what they have to do. And I always tell them you'll cross that bridge when you get there. So a little bit on the average cost of tuition, or the Canadian university average for 2025, 2026. So for international tuition, you're looking at approximately around 30,000 US dollars, if that helps you with the conversion. And for cost of living, depending on where you're living in Canada as well, some cities might be more expensive, some cities might be less expensive. You're looking on an average around 14,000 USD for cost of living for a full academic year, with an estimated total of around 34,000 sorry, 34,000 US dollars, which is approximately, I want to say, around 68,000 Barbadian dollars, if that helps you guys in terms of coming up with a number on what it would cost to come study here in Canada for one academic year. In terms of scholarships and awards, like I mentioned before, usually most institutions will offer those merit-based scholarships. So if you are academically strong student, please do apply. There are many scholarships as well out there that students don't even know about. So try to do your research, try to find out what scholarships are available at your institution, maybe even in your home country. There are those scholarships available. I think that less so, a lot of Canadian institutions don't necessarily offer a lot of need-based scholarships or awards, but this does vary from institution to institution. So again, I would definitely check with the institution you're applying to. And if you guys are interested in definitely learning a little bit more about Bishops or viewing our campus, we actually offer both in-person and virtual tours at Bishops. So if you guys want to book a campus tour, feel free to go on our website. My email is also at the bottom of this slide. It's wburgos@ubishops.ca. Um, and then lastly, something I always like to add, I guess at the end of my presentation, Canada offers, I guess, a unique blend of high quality education for international students. For Caribbean students, this means not just a chance to study in a top ranked country or institution, but also the opportunity for you to thrive, I guess, in a welcoming environment that does also value your background. Again, this is one of the reasons why I chose Canada as a Caribbean student. If any of you are interested, again, in learning a little bit more, my email is at the bottom of the slide, wburgos@ubishops.ca. But other than that, that pretty much brings me to the end. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Hilton, for providing us that comprehensive overview about studying in Canada as a Caribbean student. Um, I want to go back to something you said earlier because I know, and I have another question for you regarding language. Um, you talked about caps, and I know that has been a buzzword for the past year and some regarding Canada, making some persons quite apprehensive about considering whether Canada still wants international students or not. And so, can you go back over the difference? Why Quebec is a little bit of an anomaly when it comes to caps?
Yeah, for sure. So that's a very good concern. It's a very good question as well. I think if I was an international student looking at options, that's something that would definitely make me pause for a minute. But I guess the big difference is that before, most students that were coming to Canada, you could apply to any institution or any other province that wasn't Quebec, and you would apply then directly to your study permit after um, you have been admitted to the institution. Now, with the caps, this is an extra additional step. The province attestation letter that comes before your study permit. And for Quebec, on the other hand, this is something that's always been in place. So the Certificat d'Accestation du Québec, which is the CAQ, is something that's already been in place for a very, very long time. So it's kind of leveling the playing field in a sense that if you're planning on coming to Quebec, this is something that you would have already have to, or you might have already have to apply into. And most students that I guess apply, I guess, to come to Canada tend to go to other provinces or their more popular provinces. So in Quebec, there is still space to grow. There is still space to receive international students. So if you are interested in Canada and you're not completely closed off on one particular city, my advice to you would be to kind of keep your options open, look at other provinces that might also offer a more affordable option but also give you that Canadian experience.
Right. And thanks for clarifying that because I'm familiar with the CAQ. So that essentially is what the PAL is now for the Anglophone provinces typically. Um, okay, so we have a question from Curtis. So he's asking, is French a requirement to study in Quebec? If not, in what languages are the classes done? That's a really good question.
Yeah, that is a very good question. So it is not a requirement. We are a fully English language institution, and we are one of three English language institutions in Quebec. So all of our classes are completely in English. We do offer students the flexibility if they are coming from a Francophone background to write their exams in French. However, all of our classes are being taught in English, and it's definitely not a requirement as well. If you are open, let's say, to learning a little bit of French or want to improve your French, it's definitely the perfect environment to do so because everything outside the university is going to be in French. But in terms of, we like to call it a bit of a bubble, it's going to be in English. So your classes, your friends, your day-to-day interactions in our city, which is Sherbrooke, which is pretty bilingual as well, is going to be in English. But once you verge kind of out of that, you might very much encounter that French.
And so you do, so while it's not a requirement to come to bishops, so you don't require French for bishops, but it's still good to pick up French. Um, to help you across all of Quebec anyway. And I mean, it's generally picking up another skill set that can add to your versatility in the job market too. So,
100%. I always like to tell students as well that Canada does have two official languages. So if you do plan on maybe staying after you graduate, that's definitely an additional skill to have and to add. And then on top of it, I'd like to mention that at Bishops, we actually offer French courses at a reduced tuition rate for our international students. So I definitely took advantage of this when I was a student. But if you are interested in learning, you are going to be paying way less if you take some French courses, as opposed to if you were taking your regular course load within your program. So maybe adding on one French course each semester definitely makes a difference. Yeah.
that's good advice. So it's still healthy, and then you encourage persons to pick it up if they can. I have a question for you because you mentioned psychology, and that was your major. Now, we are seeing the increase in persons going into psychology with the intention of becoming practitioner. And you will know across the region, there are not a lot of options at the grad level, which is required for persons if they want to practice independently. And so they often have to go out. I know that process varies by country. So if you wanted to look at psychology and you wanted to become a chartered or registered psychologist, say you want to be a clinical psychologist, would you be able to provide us some insight on how that pathway would look?
Yeah, for sure. That's actually a very good question. Just because at Bishops we just recently opened a PsyD program as well. So it's a doctorate in psychology. So for the students who are interested in going to do psychology at the graduate level as well, they can definitely do it at our institution as well. In terms of what I guess the regular pathway would be, most students tend to do, I guess, their bachelor's degree. And maybe do a little bit of research at the undergraduate level as well, and then go on to do your master's. It depends on what type of area of psychology you want to go into. I know some students want to go, for example, maybe into neuroscience, clinical psychology, family therapist. I guess all these different types of fields offer, I guess, or have different types of credentials that are needed. But I guess the typical pathway is going on to graduate school after you graduate your undergraduate. And then something I like to highlight as well that at Bishop's University, it is very common for you to get the opportunity to do research just because we are a smaller institution. You're not competing against so many students. So for those students who are very much interested in going on to graduate school or have very high career aspirations as well, Bishop's is very much a very conducive environment for that just because you have the opportunity to get your that hands-on experience, which oftentimes students don't get until the graduate level. So for those students who are interested in maybe going into psychology, it's definitely a good place to start. Yeah.
So they can start and do maybe the psychology at Bishop's, but afterwards, what would be their grad option? Where would they go?
I mean, you can literally go anywhere in Canada. We have a lot of students that if they want to stay in the province of Quebec, they tend to go on to Concordia or McGill. But at Bishops, we also offer individualized master's programs. So we have had students that have finished their bachelor's degree, have gone into our individualized master's program, and then have continued on their doctorate or postdoctorate somewhere else.
Okay, but now you're offering the doctorate now.
Yes, we just recently started offering the postdoctorate, sorry, the doctorate in psychology. And it's actually a program that only takes students in every 4 years. So it's kind of a cohort. You go in with a cohort, you graduate with that cohort, and then it kind of resets the following year. So right now we're in the third year of this, the second year, sorry, of this first cohort. So the next available term isn't going to be until 2 years from now. And then after that, it's going to be another 4 years. So for students who are maybe starting, maybe you might be starting at the perfect 4 year mark that by the time you graduate, if you do have strong enough grades, if you do end up having that research experience, we have had students have streamed directly from their bachelor's program into the doctorate of psychology.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. But obviously, it would be very competitive.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But it's not impossible. We have our graduate office that helps students get that experience, helps them prepare their application. So we have that support available on campus for students. And if you know from your first year that this is something that you want to do and you want to start early, let us know and we can help you throughout that process. So by the time you graduate, you have the experience, you have the grades, you have that ready to go.
What? I have another question for you. So if a person is now learning about bishops and finding out about you today now,
Yeah.
what would you say are your strongest set of programs that you know would be that Caribbean students and parents would be interested in?
Yeah. From visiting the Caribbean, I often get asked about business. So we have a very, very strong business program. It's probably one of our strongest programs, offering everything from business analytics to marketing, human resources. And then following this would be computer science. I know this is a very popular program among students as well, specifically going into information technology or even cybersecurity. And then following this would be, I guess, at the same kind of level, psychology and education as well. So those are some of our top programs, our strongest programs as well at Bishop's.
Now, when you say liberal arts, some parents get nervous because they're thinking typically sometimes like fine arts or humanities only. Can you explain a little bit more what a liberal arts approach to higher ed looks like?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good question. I can definitely understand the worry as well. But we are a liberal education school, so this essentially just means that we offer students the flexibility to mix and match. So let's say you might be interested in business, but you might also be interested in music or history, or you might be interested in psychology, but you might also be interested in mathematics. You can very easily combine any of our programs. You can very much easily graduate with a double major. You can graduate with a major and a minor. I was very much in between mathematics and French. Those are kind of where I spent most of my electives on. So we kind of have our main program and the main courses that you take, and then we offer students the space or the flexibility, I guess, to take electives in any other program that we offer. So kind of when students graduate, you graduate a bit more well-rounded. And let's say you maybe aren't sure in terms of the field that you want to go into, you kind of have your options open there because you might have taken maybe more than one course.
Okay. So, because there are a lot of students who are not ready to decide yet. So, if they are high schooler or whether they are transferring even from maybe college or university and they're not quite sure yet, um, they don't have to decide between business or science and music, depending on how they construct their courses. They can customize their learning. Basically, that's what you're saying.
Correct, correct. You can definitely customize your learning at Bishop's. Yes.
Okay. I have another question for you, and it's the typical question that you are asked yourself probably on a very daily basis. But studying abroad is not cheap. It is definitely an investment. But when you speak of any kind of awards or opportunities to obtain, maybe a scholarship or so, when people say scholarship, they're thinking full yard. So let's clarify a few things. Is there such a thing as a full scholarship offered at Bishop's? And if not, what types of awards is available, or what type of awards are available to students coming from the Caribbean that would be international?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good question. And so at Bishop's, unfortunately, we don't offer any full ride scholarships, but we do have scholarships that vary in amounts. And again, to highlight that most of our scholarships are merit-based. So for those academically strong students, if you have a very strong academic profile, please do apply. At Bishop's, it's very easy to be considered for any of our competitive scholarships. We tend to pool all the students together for that year that you applied, and then we start making offers based on those students' grades. And then I guess to share, I guess a bit more of a personal experience in terms of how I was able to kind of get through Bishops was also through those merit-based scholarships as well. That kind of covered quite a big sum. It didn't cover the entirety, but I guess that combined with working to cover your basic expenses. And then if you do have, I guess, that support from back home as well, it is very much possible.
You can have multiple different options, but they are merit-based scholarships available, and your process is easy for students to be considered. Now, when is the earliest time and the latest time to apply to Bishops if you're looking as at Bishops as an option for 2026?
Okay, so admissions or applications typically open every year in August for the following year. So if you're looking, let's say, for fall 2026, our applications already opened at the beginning of August, and you actually have up until March 1st to apply to our university. I do recommend students to try to apply a bit earlier. Before, we used to have our deadline a bit later. I think it was around May 1st or April 1st, but we did end up moving it a bit sooner just because we want students as well, especially international students, to have that opportunity to be able to apply for those documents to come in Canada and to have sufficient time to do so. Because March is the third month of the year, and then you're basically starting in September. So that gives you about 6 months to get all your documents in order.
So you're open all now, and students technically have up until March 1st, but it's recommended that you apply prior, especially if you're international. And if you do decide to come, you give yourself enough time to apply for your study permit process. And this year, study permits took longer than the average time set. So it has students that actually waited more than 3 months to hear back from IRCC. So so definitely don't is times are gone where you could dally a bit and say you have enough time and wiggle. You don't have any wiggle anymore. Is a bit stricter. And so if you're serious about applying and you're sure, apply as early as possible. Wilton, I would like to take this time to thank you for your time and your presentation on studying in Canada. For those of you who watching on Facebook, thank you so much. For those of you in the Zoom, I appreciate your time with us this evening. You can explore Bishops on the CutFest website, www.cutfestinternational.com. There's a link in the chat option on Zoom and on Facebook to look at Bishop's dedicated page, and there's a contact form for you to reach out directly to Wilton if you so choose to ask him any more questions. And you don't necessarily have to see him at CutFest if you're not coming to your country. Don't feel left out. You can access him even outside of a CutFest in-person fair. But remember, CutFest is coming up in October, and we're going to make stops in Barbados and in Jamaica. But we will have a couple other CutFest events later in October, and we will be going heading to Antigua and Guyana. So if you are in those countries, you'll be able to meet with us and explore schools via our CutFest directory also. So we have a couple smaller events coming up later on in October. I want to take this time, we have another webinar coming up next week. It won't be televised. This one is just featuring CutFest schools. So if you want to have a one-on-one chat, we usually open up the meeting room for about half hour. You can come, ask your questions directly. I will be on the call, and you can ask questions about any of the CutFest schools on the directory right now. And we can show you how you can even submit an application via the CutFest apply page. So that will be next week at 6. That will be more of a closed meeting. So you have to register via the CutFest website to gain access. That will not be a streamed session. That we have those events monthly at the end of each month at certain points of the year. I want to say good evening to everyone. Let's say goodbye to everyone first on social media. Have a good evening, everyone. See you next week in our special meeting room.